It's intermission time. It's great to get out to the movies.
I'm Megan Braun. I'm the host of the Intermission Podcast. And today we have Mads for the third time.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, and you're here the most out of anyone we've ever had.
Look out.
Yeah.
Can't keep me away, honestly.
And ideally, you'll be our Oscars correspondent forever.
Happily and easily. Let's be real.
Okay, so we talked about this last time we did this episode, but what are your Oscar plans?
My Oscar plans this year are going to be to sit at home and watch them because I can't handle being out with other people that are not taking it as seriously as I am.
Yeah.
I want to listen to speeches. I want to enjoy the outfits. I need to just be at home and watching them myself, honestly.
That's valid.
What are you doing?
I am someone, I think I said this last time. If not, then I don't know. But I don't really have like tradition with this. So I heard that Black Cat in Silver Lake hosts.
Cool.
And I kind of want to be at a party.
Yeah.
I like want to, and then I'll go on my phone when I get home and like really do my deep dive and rewatch things. But I just kind of want to be around the buzz.
Yeah. You want to be in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to party.
My only thing with it is that I love a speech. I love an Oscar speech. And I kind of just want to be able to take that in and not have to wait until some poor social media editor is uploading them all onto YouTube, 8 hours later.
I do not understand how everyone posts everything so quickly. Like the Grammys Kendrick performance. It
was already up.
Yeah,
it hadn't even finished. And sometimes I've noticed too, because obviously being from Australia where the Oscars are happening in like the middle of the day there. And my mom or my sister will be texting me being like, oh my God, like great win. And I'm like, our feed is delayed here. I'm not getting, like they might get stuff like a minute or two ahead.
How funny.
So I need to just put them on Do Not Disturb during so that I can catch up sometimes as well.
Do you look at social media while you're watching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's on their phone doing everything all the time anyway, but especially during the Oscars.
Yeah. I like to see all like the live tweeting of people's reactions.
Yeah.
I'm going to list some prior Oscar hosts, and you tell me like who were some favorites of yours. Yeah. So this was shocking to me. I actually had never looked this up. Billy Crystal was the host 9 times, which is the second most reoccurring host.
Who's the most?
Bob Hope.
Okay, fuck Bob Hope.
And
Billy Crystal.
And he was
literally
host 19 times.
No
like that's
way.
like a big jump.
That's crazy. Okay, but Billy Crystal, I would say, is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was also like the era of us growing up as well, where he was hosting a lot. There's a really great skit he does where like they bring him out as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, and it's like his voice, and it's also like, in your head as like, him from When Harry Met Sally and from Mike Wazowski and Monsters Inc. And you just have this, this like tie to Billy Crystal, I think, that feels like peak comedy.
Yeah.
So like he could come back.
He would be a fun comeback.
Yeah.
The other hosts that were like a few reoccurring where we have, it's funny how it goes literally from 19 to 9 and then everyone else is just like 2.
Yeah.
So Chris Rock twice, Ellen DeGeneres twice. And that's it actually. Everyone else is just one-time hosts.
One and done.
Oh, for my recent years. Sorry.
Right.
If we were to go farther back.
Sure.
This is like the 2000s and the 90s.
Do you have a hot pick of someone that you would want to see host the Oscars?
Okay, so I'm like, this is so generic. This is my generic answer is that like I will forever love the Tina Fey Amy Poehler dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, but it's been done.
Yeah.
So I think like a newer version of that could be like Ayo Edebiri and like one of the girls that she was in Bottoms with.
Bring out Kaya Gerber. She's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
I think you just need to keep it fresh.
Exactly. So like basically I just want a younger, newer generation version of that where it's comedic, it's people that have worked together, that people as an audience we already like them together, and I would love for it to be 2 females.
Totally.
The only other pick I have, which I actually don't think they speak anymore unless this is just internet banter that I am susceptible to, is like a Key and Peele moment.
Right.
I think would be sick.
Yeah, I did really like. I think it was like John Mulaney did a really good intro to it might have been at the Golden Globes, and it was like I think that it works when you have a lot of people representing different parts of the, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be a host the whole way through,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I think like having people dip in and dip out, because it gets a little tiresome once you get to like, 3/4 of the way through the night and, it starts getting into the jokes about like the costume design department and they drag someone out in something awful and like the jokes don't always land that hard. I also recently watched the Martha Stewart documentary, which I'm going to plug because it's sick and she's great and she's just a baddie. And she was really fucking funny in the roast that she did of Justin Bieber. And I was like, why aren't we getting Martha out here? Like there could be more opportunities, I think, for like people that are less aligned to cinema to have fun moments with it, because I think it kind of can get a little lost with it being so highbrow sometimes too,
So true. Having someone from the outside could be like, rather than it be self-deprecating from the inside out, it's someone who inside out.
Inside out too.
It's I like that idea. Someone coming from the outside and it being more of like an observer of this industry.
Yeah, and even like, it's never going to get to the point where you have like these like TikTok influencers hosting the Oscars, but like now that I've said it, it's probably going to come true. But like, there's so much more comedy in the outside viewing of these moments as well that I think kind of makes it it brings it down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we're gonna. Oh, so the host this year is Conan O'Brien. What are your thoughts?
Wild. Like, it's just like he's been resurrected from
I thought
death?
It was kind of random, right?
Yeah.
I was like curious where that came from. I saw a Reddit thread and I guess there was like a poll on Reddit and everyone was really wanting it to be Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez.
Oh yeah,
which
without
I think
Selena
would be
Gomez would be great. Yeah. They could just leave her behind. And those two could just riff, and it would be great. I think Martin Short would be able to do it.
Yeah.
I also love David Tennant. They're never going to get someone that isn't American, but like David Tennant hosts the BAFTAs, and he's got some really good, comedic chops. Obviously, being David Tennant, but like there's so many opportunities with people who sit outside of the like American film space.
Okay, we're going to go straight into Best Picture. I'm going to read the nominees, and then we can go over snubs or who we think will win, yada, yada. Our Best Picture nominees are Emilia Pérez, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here, The Substance, Dune Part 2, Wicked, Anora, and The Brutalist. Now, what jumps out at you? What are your thoughts, initial impressions?
There's a couple things I think missing on here. I also think that maybe we should just get it out of the way and address the elephant in the room that is Emilia Pérez right out the gate, because it's an absolute abomination. And I think that it does such a disservice to every other film that it is nominated against in every other category. Have you seen this yet?
No, wait, I actually don't think I will.
No, I think that it's better left unseen by as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So when you guys were like, I want you to come back on the pod, I was like, great, I've got a couple movies to watch, but I was traveling at the time. So not everything was really accessible for me to see, which speaks to some of the problems about international distribution in itself.
I was just talking to someone who lives in Mexico about this.
It's hard, right? Not everything is available everywhere. So a couple things I was able to see and I was like, fuck, I'm on the plane. I've got to watch Emilia Pérez. I was feeling a type of way as one does on a plane. There's certain things you can watch and can't watch, but as you're trying not to sob on an aircraft, putting on Emilia Pérez will help you, because you will only be able to focus on what an absolute pile of garbage it is that you're watching, and you will not be able to feel anything else for those 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I want to know like what exact, because I really don't think I'm ever going to watch it because of everything that's happened, but just as a movie itself, like what about it is bad, taking out all the controversy that has happened?
So it's a musical with really bad songs in it for a start, which I think is kind of the worst part of it, is that we get so lucky with so many different musicals that come out in this day and age. I think about Wicked, which is on this list, but not really a movie for me, but obviously a movie for a lot of people who love that musical. I think back to more recent stuff like La La Land as well. It's a modern musical that nails it, but Emilia Pérez is actually a joke for people that love musicals. The music is terrible. And I also think that obviously there's so much controversy about it, so we don't need to talk about all of it, but it's just not a good film. It doesn't have a good story that's interesting. It's not particularly well acted, well shot, well directed, well written. It doesn't belong in any of these categories that it was in, honestly.
Do you have any inside scoop? Because I was trying to look this up. Why did it receive so many awards?
Because Netflix spent a fuckload of money on it.
Yeah.
They would have just, wined and dined everyone. They would have spent a huge amount of money on the campaign to get it to where it was, which is kind of also on the flip side as to why we have massive snubs from something like Maria, right? Which is also a Netflix production, Pablo Larraín, Angelina Jolie, those are the kind of award caliber things that you think of when you think of the Oscars, not Selena Gomez in a musical about a cartel boss transgender story of family that's just it so misses the mark.
Sounds like a
in every way.
twister.
It's literally like someone was like, and I think actually we talked about this the last time I was here, is it just hits on the points that you would plug into an AI to generate what's the most divisive thing we could make a movie about right now for Americans. And it feels like Emilia Pérez is what came out of that.
I'm glad that we started with this, yeah.
I feel like we've spent way too much time on it now, so I want to pivot to what I think is also missing from the Best Pictures list, because I watched Sing Sing, and I thought that Sing Sing was
That's such a good shout. Damn
brilliant.
it, I wish I said that.
I was really taken back by Sing Sing, and I thought that in terms of what a great movie is, it hits everything on the head in terms of a really good choice to be in that Best Picture lineup there. I also think Nosferatu, but that's me being a little bit of a selfish gothic girly at heart. But you could have just completely removed Emilia Pérez, didn't need to be there. Wicked is questionable at best. Anora, men are going to love that movie. The Brutalist, Brady Corbett can make half a good movie.
What about Conclave? Do you think Conclave could have been Best Picture?
Conclave would get my vote if it wasn't for Dune 2.
Okay, but in this category of the Best Picture, who do you actually think will win, though?
So who I think will win, probably, it could be The Brutalist, based off everyone's reception to the movie. What I would vote for if I had that lucky golden ticket to vote in the Academy, 100% would be Dune 2.
Yeah, me too. That was my answer.
Dune 2, it's hard to say with an accent.
Dune
is the greatest new release cinematic experience I have had in my life.
Wouldn't it be so cool if it won?
It'd be so sick. It'd be because, okay, the thing about Dune 2 is that this is a movie made for a few $100 million with the hottest cast in the world, with not too much overt eye-bleeding CGI, that has a really good story based off IP that people know and trust and love. And you tell me you come out with a banger of a movie like that, give it the awards.
I completely agree.
I saw it 4 times in the cinema.
Yeah, I saw it twice at IMAX.
Yeah, I was Dolby, hitting the IMAX, premium and large format. I was there will never be a greater movie-going experience that I think I will have other than that.
Also, this is my quick shout that my boyfriend actually, I've said this to you, does not watch movies and loves Dune 2.
Yeah.
Loves. And I think that's such a testament
to how good it is.
Yeah, it's reaching everyone, including my non-movie watching boyfriend.
We get so much slop fed to us through the pipeline of blockbuster movies. But for the amount of money that Dune was, based on the amount of money they spent with the cast they had and the crew they had, everything could look like that. Mm-hmm. Everything could be as good as Dune is. Mm-hmm. And it's not. Mm-hmm. For Dune to be as rare as it is in our film landscape, both movies, I think the first one is made even better by the second one, which is wild, because usually there's a drop off, unless you're talking about Paddington 2. But more movies should be as good quality as that. So fuck it. Give it the Best Picture Oscar.
I think that Dune 2 is what I want, my hopes and dreams to win. And I think what would actually win, I didn't even think, I didn't pinpoint these ahead of time. I just wanted to see how I would feel in the moment. I'm thinking, I don't want to copy you. I want to go with something different. Maybe Conclave. I'm going to put Conclave.
Yeah, I think Conclave could too. Literally for the insane vape rip and the costumes and how fast paced it was, you know? Like, I don't know anyone that hasn't just watched Conclave and just gone, yeah, that's a ripper film.
Like, that's a movie.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies where every single still from it could be like framed in your home.
Right. You know that shot of the shot that's blocked so well?
The blue seats, and they're all like sitting at different.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
So good.
It's so good. It looked so good.
Okay, so director, we have Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, Jacques Audard for Emilia Pérez, and Coralie Fargeau for The Substance. Who do you want to win? Who do you think will win?
I think it's got to be Coralie Fargeau, right?
For who you want and who you think will? I mean, that is who I want.
Yeah.
Who I think will. Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah.
I 100% think
That'll
so.
be so groundbreaking.
It would be so sick. I think, like, I was saying to Olivia just before, like, when we went and saw The Substance together.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it was just like, I think I loved the movie. I loved Demi. I loved the story. I think that the script is really good. Like, if you look at how the script is written, it's really interesting. And I think that, compared to this list, right?
Yeah.
When I look at all these ones, I just think, okay, there's so many things missing, right? Luca Guadagnino, for a start, you could have put him in there for challenges or queer.
Yeah.
You could have also put in Denny.
Yeah,
for,
Denny, yeah.
For Dune.
And then
June. You
Edward
could have also
Berger
yes
for Conclave.
Yes. You could have done Robert Eggers for Nosferatu. Like, there were so many fantastic movies that came out last year, and for this to be the list is kind of like, okay. But I think it is actually an interesting list because there are a lot of first-time directors being nominated in this category as well.
Good point.
But I do think that, you know, I'm voting for The Substance. Yeah. Right?
Well, yes.
Yes.
I also love that we saw that together.
I know.
And also, I had a note here that I saw online people being like, oh, John M. Chu, the director of Wicked, was snubbed for this. And I actually don't agree at all. Like, directing of that movie is not at all something that would come to mind.
No.
Next, we have actress. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Pérez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
Look, I'm going Demi.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
I also think it's a cool story, you know?
Yeah.
It's also like, I have to always like think that like the Oscars are going to be about like handing over a legacy award to a legacy actor or actress or writer. You know, like people don't get their flowers in their time and then they get nominated for an award. You know, it's like the Jamie Lee Curtis syndrome of you know, categories. So I think that Demi will be in for a shot this year with that. But the biggest snub for me was definitely Angelina Jolie for Maria.
Yeah.
Like how she did not get nominated for that is fucking crazy. And Brad Pitt did that and Netflix did that. And I will always be their biggest haters.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I'm down. You know, I'm down to be a hater.
I know.
I love that. I have in here. Oh, okay. So speaking of like someone getting their flowers later, I actually don't think this performance is worth being best actress, but I do want to shout Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, which I'm sure I'll talk about that movie again later on. And like I said, I don't think she should have been nominated for best actress because I think like Demi's performance and everything combined is like kind of a different tier. Yeah. But Pamela's someone who like maybe a position.
I love Pam.
Yeah.
You know, I think that she's great, and I think that I'm really excited for this like new chapter in her career as well, because I think that doing something like The Last Showgirl is kind of like Demi doing something like The Substance as well. You know, it kind of is showing what she's capable of. And I'm such a Pam fan.
I love her.
I love her.
She was at the screening I went to for this movie, and I was like, I could cry. I love you so much.
She's great.
Okay, what about Kate Winslet and Lee? Do you think that could have been Best Actress nominee?
Yeah, I mean, in this list, yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that there's, you know, like I liked Mikey Madison in Anora. I think that she was the best thing about it, about the whole film, compared to the, you know, the story and the way it was directed. She was the best thing.
Well, she got to be really well rounded in it. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but I just think I think it's still Demi.
On to the next. Best Actor. We have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. To me, Sebastian Stan being in here was really shocking.
Yeah.
Because that movie is kind of the opposite of Emilia Perez, where it was kind of shut out of everything.
Yeah, super divisive. Who do you think
Will and should.
will and should?
I think should Coleman Domingo, will Adrian Brody.
Wow.
You don't agree?
I would pick.
I would sounds like
I would.
Like, I would do that.
It's like fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, I would.
Sebastian Stan.
You think will?
I think could.
Whoa.
And would.
You think with with like
I was
the election and everything?
Yeah, I think like it's the fact that it is even nominated says something to me that maybe people are would be ready to like throw down to give him that kind of a vote for winning. Because have you seen The Apprentice? It's actually pretty wild.
Is it streaming anywhere by chance?
No, I did have to pay for it.
Okay.
So coming soon, maybe. I was really surprised by that. So this was one of the ones that I hadn't watched and would have gone not interested in seeing it theatrically. And then, coming here, I was like, I've got to at least see Sebastian Stan's
performance. Thank you for taking this so seriously.
Of course, someone has to around here. So I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this one. I do really like Sebastian Stan too. I think he's a really cool actor that we have right now, and I was fucking blown away by him in this. He gets like he gets all the facials down right, like the mouth and the language and everything, but it's also just kind of a story, I think, about, I don't fucking know much about the Orange Man as even as someone who, like, I don't know his story or whatever, so it's really interesting like kind of arc about him becoming who he became. Yeah. In the kind of period of the 80s and the 90s as well. So it's like it's really well shot, and it's definitely kind of telling you this story about like, this guy's not a good guy. Yeah. He doesn't have your back, like, no matter who you are. And I think that the fact that it even got nominated kind of is like a little bit of ooh, maybe he could win this because it is divisive. And I think that one thing that I love so much in the Oscars is the speeches give you an opportunity to say something. They give you a platform, right? And I think a lot of people waste those opportunities. But he didn't when he won that Golden Globe. And he got up there and he said something with his chest about what it meant to the country or the world having a leader like that. And I think that maybe people see that and might see that as another opportunity to have a platform to make a statement, similar to the Super Bowl, right? With the halftime show with Kendrick. Like, there are moments in history that can have these kind of like quite political moments that I think there is an opportunity for that with Sebastian Stan in there.
I really like this. I like where your head's at.
I think that the fact that it even got nominated, like, I definitely think that him in A Different Man was better than him in The Apprentice, but I think that they're both brilliantly acted films by him. So go off, Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, no, I am definitely a fan of his. And this will be interesting. This is an interesting category.
I also I loved Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing. If there was an ensemble cast category, it would be going to Sing Sing for me. Whereas, because I feel like, as much as I love Sing Sing,
interesting that there's not that,
right? So they have it at like the SAG and they have it at other awards, but the fact that like Coleman Domingo's performance is only so great by the supporting cast and the supporting story in Sing Sing. So it does feel like a little bit of a disservice to everyone else that he's so singled out in this film in particular.
That's
but
a really
I would
good
be
point.
voting ensemble for Sing Sing for sure.
Amazing. Next we have supporting actress. Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez.
So first of all, I think that there's category fraud here, because here I am.
Let's go.
Category fraud. Ariana Grande and Zoe Saldana are not supporting actresses in their films. They are co-leads of their films.
Yeah, exactly.
They're leads, and Zoe Saldana is the lead of Emilia Perez. She may not be the title character, but she's the lead. It's about her experience. And Ariana Grande is not the supporting actress in Wicked. She's the co-lead of Wicked. She's fucking Glinda.
Yeah. That doesn't... Yeah. This is a great point.
So automatically excluded,
Because
from
they're
my
not
opinion,
yeah, 'cause
because
they're
I
not
feel like
following
they're
the-
not following the rules here.
Okay, I love it.
So then I'm ultimately left with Isabella Rossellini. So give her the statue.
Cool.
Love her.
Yeah, I like that. I think should and would.
Yeah. I also think that like some people I think were saying that she's not in it enough. And that's the point
Isn't that
of
a supporting
actor
actor?
is actor or actress is to be something that is so vital to the story moving forward
Yeah.
that you're like 100%.
And that's exactly what
That's
her
exactly
character
it's so
is
subtle,
for that
but it's
film.
so brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. Is there anyone you feel like is missing from this category?
Honestly, I probably could do a bit more of a deep dive into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that maybe if I were to just pull a rabbit out of a hat, could we just say Rebecca Ferguson in Dune 2?
Wow, it's so funny. I'm like forgetting that. We talked about Dune Tune earlier, but I'm forgetting that. Yeah,
Forgetting how brilliant it was. How brilliant she was.
That's a great shout.
Mm-hmm.
She was so good in that movie.
She's fantastic. In general,
regardless.
regardless, but she is the perfect Jessica.
Yeah, I completely agree. She's so powerful.
She's fantastic.
What about, would you consider Margaret Qualley a or supporting
I think
actor or co-lead?
Then again, I think she actually probably falls into co-lead.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like maybe.
And the way it's like...
it's a duality.
It's way it's publicized
Yeah.
and that kind of thing as well. Elle Fanning in A Complete Unknown. Do you think that's a strong enough performance to be in the mix?
Yeah.
Okay, just
You know,
indifferent. Like she
yeah.
wouldn't have won anyway.
No,
so, yeah.
exactly.
Okay, supporting actor. We have Yura Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Oh, wait, I want to hear about how Jeremy was in The Apprentice.
He was fucking brilliant.
Really?
Yeah,
I
he was
love
great.
him.
Isn't it also funny that Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin are going up
Obsessed.
against each other in this? You
I
know,
love
it's
it.
like real. Like it's like yeah. I thought that was pretty funny.
Succession again.
I really loved Yura Borisov in Anora. I thought that the point in which I really enjoyed the film was that kind of narrative shift between Annie's point of view to kind of, you know, not his point of view, so to speak, but seeing things through his eyes a little bit more,
Yeah.
seeing the softness there. And I thought he really blew me away in that. But for me, it's 100% Guy Pearce. I think that that's the Australian in me that will be voting for Guy Pearce. And I also think that his performance in The Brutalist is incredible. I think that like he could have had a bigger career than what he has had. But I think that was a really, really, really strong performance from him in The Brutalist.
Someone I wish was in here was Stanley Tucci.
Look, Stanley Tucci could be nominated in every category.
I would
in my
vote for
opinion,
him
and I would
every
vote for him
time.
anytime,
I love
anytime.
him. I love
I'm
him
a big
so
fan
much.
of the Tooch too.
Love that man. Cool. I think I'm in agreement here. I think that Kieran Culkin for A Real... I'm actually just shocked. I liked A Real Pain, but I'm just shocked that movie is even like an Oscars movie
Yeah.
at all. Like it just feels so indie, low budget, like minimal to me.
The problem I guess I had with Kieran Culkin in it is that he's doing
himself.
And okay, cool. It's kind of boring for, you know, being in an acting category.
Yeah. I think that's completely valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Like do
being
something
himself.
else. Can you do anything else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like Jeremy Strong on the other foot was absolutely wild as Roy.
Well, he's a theater kid.
I know. Yeah, he was really acting with his whole chest in that. So
I love that man. Okay, I'm breaking up Oscar noms to go into spilling the tea section of the Oscars.
Love
so
it.
obviously we already talked to Emilia Pérez. I'm just going to kind of go through all the different controversies that have been happening. Anora, this one to me is I don't think that big of a deal, but so basically Mikey came out and said that they didn't use a what's the word?
Intimacy coordinator.
And I thought that shouldn't it be like the decision of the actor?
So okay, yeah. So I want to touch on this because this is the thing that I've heard is that the producers and the directors, which is Sean Baker and his wife, said, "Hey, you can get an intimacy coordinator or not. It's up to you." And then Mikey said, and I'm paraphrasing from interviews I've seen where she said, "No, I don't think I need one. I don't want one." But I think the point of the intimacy coordinator is that it removes you having to make the choice about whether or not you want one or not, especially on a small film where you are working with a director and his wife as a producer who are completely in the position of power. You should not have to be, as a young person on a film set, saying yes or no to that question. It should just be there regardless of you wanting it or not.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's my big take on it, is that there has been so much conversation about we didn't use one, it was a really close set. It was, the fact of the matter is that she's portraying a sex worker in this, and I think that there should be a level of protection that not only covers her but the rest of the crew as well.
Yeah.
I did hear some other stuff as well that was like Sean Baker and his wife were like acting out like how the sex scene should look in the scene to get the shot. And there's just so many things I hear about Sean Baker that I just think, ew.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to have to, I don't know. The concept of an intimacy coordinator is like so interesting to me because we haven't had really many actors on the podcast. We had this one actress come on and she explained her experience having an intimacy coordinator, which obviously it's like mostly positive.
Yeah. And the director of Baby Girl also said that, she loved having an intimacy coordinator on set because an intimacy coordinator also can really help with how the shot looks, can really make those scenes look more a certain way than a director might be able to visualize or know, or help the actors in like, oh, actually this angle is going to be better for like what you're trying to achieve here, and said that it really helped her find a lot of sensuality in the way the film was shot for Baby Girl,
cool.
which is the whole fucking premise of that movie anyway. But to be able to have another expert to lean on in that space too, I think is something that is, it's like having a stunt coordinator. The same thing. You wouldn't be like, do you want one? Like, yes or no?
Also, I'm just remembering as you bring up Baby Girl, I have another question for you. Would Harris Dickinson be a supporting actor?
Yeah, 100%. Harris Dickinson. Yeah, would, could, should, all of the above.
Will kiss ASAP. I love you. Okay, cool. So that is our Anora section. Now, Brutalist, AI controversy. I think this is crazy. So they used AI to enhance the way that they looked proficient in Hungarian.
Yeah.
And that to me, I'm like, isn't that acting?
Yeah.
Like that
totally.
is your job.
Yeah. And I think that this kind of work is will only be seen more and more because it's definitely where technology is, where it's slightly improving things to make things seem more realistic.
Yeah.
But I think that it was funny too because they very clearly jumped on a really quick PR campaign because the day later it was all of the reviews about how great The Brutalist is to really bury the story about any enhancements that they did make to his voice, which is 100% why. Because when I was watching The Brutalist, I remember sitting at the intermission and being like, this movie, like Adrian Brody's got his next Oscar.
Yeah.
100% on lock. And then as soon as that article came out about him and his accent being tweaked, I was like, what's the he didn't even have to do any of it then if we're just dubbing all audio forever, right? So stripped of that, handed over to Sebastian Stan. But again, there was also talks about some generative AI used for some of the images.
Visuals as well,
in the visuals too, which is, expected. Disappointing, but also just I think that it's sad that we kind of are losing track with these stories. It's like they can be buried as quickly as they kind of come out because ultimately this industry is going to be really, really heavily impacted by job loss due to AI. So I do think that it is really important that it's spoken about and that, not that people shouldn't be awarded for the things that they do, but, like when you post on Instagram, there's a tag on there that says whether or not this content was made with AI and people should know about this across any of the films or TV shows that they're watching as well. Because it's like I want to opt out of those things. I want to opt out of that being the choice of am I watching something that's been made by people or something that has been modified or created by a computer? And I think that we should always be able to be given that choice to choose about it.
I'm really curious if it's going to get brought up at the awards.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting, like in someone's speech?
Yeah.
I kind of hope. Fernanda Torres, the I'm Still Here actress, there was like a blackface
Oh,
Did
I
you
didn't
see-
even know that.
Yeah.
That was buried quickly. Wow.
There was blackface in 2008 for a sketch she did on TV.
2008. That's real recent. That's wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And then the last thing, which this is less like juicy, but I didn't know that the Academy is excluding live performances of Best Original Song.
It's because two of them are Emilia Perez's songs, I think. And they're abominations, so that's probably why they just decided to clip that.
Yeah, and that's an easy fix then. Okay, we're going to do Oscars rapid fire. Just some quick Oscar-related questions. First, most overrated Best Picture winner in general, past years.
I've got 2. Crash, 2006, awful, and The King's Speech as well, purely because of what it was up against in that category.
Which actor should have won but never did?
Won but never did. One of my favorite actors that I don't think sees enough of his flowers is Ed Harris.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I really like Ed Harris, and I think that, there was like Truman Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. I wrote Glenn Close because I didn't know that Glenn has been nominated 8 times and won 0
Oh my
times.
God, girl, how does she even come anymore at this point?
That's so frustrating. Okay, worst Oscar snub of all time. I have Stanley Kubrick never getting
huge.
Best Director.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you have an answer to this because you said it on our last episode, so maybe you can either say it again or if something else comes to mind,
Yeah.
but best acceptance speech.
It's always going to be Joe Pesci when he's just like, it was my privilege. Thank you. It's like, if you don't have something really like political or, I don't know, not even political. If you don't have something good to say that's inspiring, that makes people want to watch films and care about them and why it's important to support this industry that has given you all the money and all the glory in the world, then just keep it short and sweet.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned on the pod last time as well, Sofia Coppola has a really beautiful speech that she says about winning the writing award for Lost in Translation. But it's, and it talks about the craft and, I don't want to hear people thank their managers and thank God. I want people to, talk about how important it is about watching movies and having those experiences and the things that change them to be where they are today. Because those are the moments that I think stick with you a lot as well.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I think you asked me this last time, and I'm just not I'm not someone who can quote a movie. I can't quote anything. Nothing's going to come to mind. I wrote here though by researching that I did really like Lupita's acceptance speech for 12 Years a Slave. Like that's
Gorgeous.
one who was just like a beautiful, well done speech.
Yeah.
But it sucks because stuff like this never comes to top of mind. I have to Google it.
No, of course. Sometimes I do go down like the rabbit hole of like best Oscar speeches of all time
Yeah,
because
it'd be a
it's
fun
nice
like
to
YouTube
watch.
series or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, now we're getting into international feature film. I'm Still Here, Brazil. The Girl with the Needle, Denmark. Emilia Perez, France. The Seed of the Sacred Fig, Germany. And Flow, Latvia. One quick thing I want to say is I hadn't actually looked at this section until today, which is my bad, and I'm being honest. But I was with a friend last night, and she was like, I saw this movie. It was horrible, but she's someone who doesn't watch movies.
Yeah.
So I was just more curious, what's horrible to her. And she was discussing The Girl with the Needle, and everything she told me about it, I was like, I think I would love this
How
movie.
did she describe it to you?
She just was traumatized.
Okay.
She was
Fair.
just telling me literally the
Yeah.
plot, which now I kind of wish she hadn't because I didn't realize what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
right.
And I didn't realize it was a movie that did so well and it's Oscar
Yeah.
nominated. So
It's interesting people's perspectives on things different from people that do watch.
she was like, as she
She was
started,
like, don't ever watch this. It's
yeah,
awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that was exactly what she was saying. And the more and more she talked, I was like, God damn it. This actually sounds like something that I would be really blown away by if I was seeing this unfold for the first time in front of my eyes.
I completely agree.
Anywho.
I also want to, just while we're on international feature film, bring up the category of documentary feature film because it's probably my favorite category this year because there's a really fantastic film that I watched called No Other Land that is made by a Palestinian activist and an Israeli journalist about what the occupation is doing in the West Bank about demolishing homes on Palestinian land. And it's called No Other Land, and it hasn't been able to get a lot of distribution across the world. I think it's available on Mubi now to watch. It's playing in really limited cinemas. It's playing at like Film Forum in New York, and I was so lucky that, you know, recently when I was in Australia that this film was playing. I was staying at this gorgeous hotel, and it's actually the old Paramount building.
The hotel is?
Yeah,
Cool.
it used to be Paramount's building, and it used to be a coffee shop back in the day. They turned it into a hotel, and they actually kept the old theaterette downstairs that probably fits like 20 people inside of it. And they just so happened on one day I was there to be playing No Other Land, and, you know, you're in this tiny, tiny cinema that would be the size of this room, you know, and you're like touching knees with the people next to you because you're in there so tight. And it was just a really... I think like the documentaries that we have today can so easily just fall into a bit of a more mainstream category, I think, especially with the ones that get nominated here. But No Other Land, I think, is one that is very topical, obviously, but is also painting this really beautiful picture of like how hard distribution is for films that have maybe a sensitive topic to it, you know. And I think about last year, The Zone of Interest, that was really, really topical, being a movie that won an award or two, but still, you know, could have very easily struggled with distribution as well had it not been for like Jonathan Glazer being the director of it.
Yeah.
So I think that documentary feature film, No Other Land,
This is a great shout.
I think that it's probably the plug of the movies that I would suggest people that are gearing up for the Oscars to go and watch or go and support if they can do that.
Amazing. I'm glad you highlighted that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Cinematography. The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia, Pérez, Maria, Nosferatu. What are your thoughts?
Apart from Emilia Pérez, you could give it to any one of them, honestly. For cinematography, that's a tight four. The Brutalist, Dune 2, Maria, and Nosferatu, all bangers of visually gorgeous movies.
Yeah. I think that I would want Nosferatu.
Great pick.
I think that's my pick.
Yeah.
I think want and should. That's
I'd probably vote Dune 2
Yeah.
because I think Greg Fraser is a really great
Yeah.
director of photography. But, you know, all four of those films I thought was so beautifully shot and so driven by how they were shot as well. So they're all winners in my book.
And that's funny that Conclave's not in there.
Yeah, right?
That's strange. Okay, well, costume design, I'm going to read them, and then I have a snub, in my opinion, is a snub. Costume design, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. It's also so funny to me that Gladiator 2 is like even like in this
Even
mix.
listed there, right? Because the one thing that Olivia and I said after we saw Gladiator 2 was the skirts weren't short enough. We weren't seeing enough thigh.
These are the problems.
These are the problems that we're facing here. I mean, the other problem being the costumes in Dune 2 not being in this list.
So that was my snub, is Dune 2.
Right?
Like, that's actually mind-blowing that this would not be
It's
in
obscene.
here. Like,
it's so obscene.
that movie is just so pushed forward by the makeup and the clothing and the I hit the mic. The visuals, like everything is
elevated because of all of those elements of it, for sure.
So it's shocking.
Yeah. But I think that for this one, I would vote Nosferatu because I did think that Linda Muir did I wanted to just be in all of those outfits, all of the purples that she it was very, and I think that like Eggers films are like,
the Poor Things girls are gonna love the Nosferatu, our Nosferatu girls.
We 100% are. We totally are, for sure.
Okay, makeup and hairstyling. A Different Man, which is so funny to me.
I know.
Like, just like Timothy. Sorry, no. I was thinking A Complete Unknown.
Timothy with his little moustache. No. A Different Man is the Sebastian Stan one.
Yeah. A Different Man, Emilia Pérez, Nosferatu, The Substance, Wicked. Obviously, The Substance should win.
I also think A Different Man was really, that was brilliant too. But The Substance, for sure. Monstro Alyssa Sue, come on.
Is this is this A Different Man's one nomination?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool that it's in there.
Yeah. Also kind of fucked up that it's in there too, you know, of all the categories it could be in. It's you know, you could have put it in writing as well. Like, it's just like, let us, Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
We're going to do a quick pivot to red carpet fits.
Great.
We love to talk fashion.
We do, don't we?
Why is men's I mean, we've talked about this, but like, why is the men's fashion always so boring, and who's a
because
standout?
Men are boring. I think Coleman Domingo will be a standout this year because he's got a good stylist and he always looks really, really slick.
He always looks good.
Kieran Culkin take off the bracelets?
Yeah. He's not someone who I would pin as fashion forward though.
No.
Oh, Jeremy Strong's outfit
Yeah,
at
he's
the
wild.
mint green.
Yep.
That was
But yeah, look, men, step it up, dress better,
be better.
just be better.
All around, be better. And then most iconic Oscar look of all time.
I don't know what I said last time, but one that always comes back to me is in the 70s, Jane Fonda won for Clute, which is incredible. We love Jane Fonda. We love Clute.
I do love Jane Fonda. I also love the Jane Fonda docuseries.
Yes. And I think it must have been it was in the 70s. It was a YSL wool suit.
Sick.
And it was also like a really, like the reason why she wore it is that like she didn't want to wear anything flashy because she was a huge anti-Vietnam protester and Vietnam was happening at the time and she didn't want to go to an awards ceremony and be celebrated and like have all this glitz and glamour while she was like look at what we're fucking doing over there. So I like that she made a kind of protest in wearing like a black suit to that moment of hers as well. And also I think I would love to see more women in suits. I think that
it's the hottest thing.
It's the hottest thing. I own like one dress. I'm not wearing it all the time. I think a suit look is so elevated and so chic. And I think
Completely
that, even if you're going to put like a sequin short on it, like K-Stew's going to do, like I'm down with the girls in suits. I think that I want to see more of that.
Specifically,
it's also cold at this time of year. I always think about that. They must be freezing outside on the red carpet and go into the auditorium. And it's, I'm a cold person. I would need a jacket immediately. So like a suit makes the most sense to me.
Original score. We have The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Pérez, Wicked, Wild Robot.
Yeah, like again, I don't know that I care enough.
None of these to me are like standouts. And also, I think we said this already, challengers. Like,
yeah,
why is that not in here?
Wild.
That was a bop and a half. That's my should and would is not even an option, and it's challengers.
Yeah.
Production design, we have The Brutalist, Conclave, Doom Part 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. I would say Wicked for production.
Wow. Okay, go off. I'm Nosferatu hardcore on this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Goth girly forever. I want to be right in that.
I think because I did theater as a kid, I do have
You're a Wicked girl. Wicked was for you, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't for me, but I have a soft spot for like theater set design, and that's what it reminded me of is like growing up and doing theater and like everyone like painting the backdrops and shit. Like that to me is sweet. But yeah, you're right. Nosferatu also
100%
easily could win.
Nosferatu.
I just think Wicked will.
Yeah.
Animated feature film, Flow, which has been I feel like Flow's everywhere. Inside Out 2. That is another movie that my boyfriend who doesn't watch movies loves.
Really? He loved it?
Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Memoir of a Snail, I haven't seen yet, but I was looking at stills from it, and it looks like something I will like. Memoir
of a Snail fucked me up.
Really?
I loved that movie so much.
That's really good to hear.
I also, Memoir of a Snail is is an Australian film as well. It is very like a lot of the language in it and where it's set and everything is super Australian, and Australian cinema is also kind of known for its bleakness, its like dark sense of humor, and Memoir of a Snail fucked me up. It's an animated, it's not a kid's movie, it's an animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty uncontrollably sobbing towards the end of it because it just is one of those things that is so earnest and sweet and sad and really kind of like has so much craft in it as well. It being claymation, everything being made and how long these things take to make and all the effort that's put into it. Memoir of a Snail would be my vote here.
For should or would?
I think it would be should for me. I think would I would not be surprised if Flow won from all of the press that it's gotten. But then, also like The Wild Robot is being heavily pushed in a lot of categories here and was out of the animated, like more modern animated style of things, like not thinking about things that are like claymation, but like I liked how The Wild Robot really looked. I thought it was really beautiful and felt a little different to like mainstream. Like I don't like the way like Inside Out 2 looks, like it just feels like plastic to me,
Yeah.
Memoir of a Snail. Gorgeous film.
Cool. I'm really glad that you said that.
Really cute. But like, be ready to cry.
Yeah,
like, disclaimer.
I love crying. It just every
I love crying.
I do.
Is that your quote? Like that's
I
your
love
name.
crying.
Like,
I'm
Meg Braun,
Megan.
I love crying.
Okay, we're gonna play like a little bit of a game.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say 2 movies, and you have to pick one. Every movie I'm saying is like a past Best Picture winner. So whichever one you pick, I'll move on to the next. Okay, Oppenheimer or Slumdog Millionaire?
Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire or Moonlight?
Moonlight.
Moonlight or Nomadland?
Moonlight.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or Moonlight?
Moonlight.
Moonlight or Parasite?
Moonlight.
Moonlight or The Silence of the Lambs?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or Schindler's List?
It's like a tongue twister. Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or The Hurt Locker?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or Spotlight?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or Lawrence of Arabia?
Silence of the Lambs.
I'm in agreement, by the way. Silence of the Lambs or No Country for Old Men?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or Gladiator?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs or Birdman?
Silence of the Lambs.
I do love Birdman, though. Silence of the Lambs or Titanic?
Silence of the Lambs. I've never seen Titanic.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, isn't that just a wild, like, movie
That's a good
gap
fact.
in my category gap? Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs or Forrest Gump?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence.
Forrest Gump won Best Picture? That's a joke.
Yeah, it
Wow.
did. I don't know what year, though. This last one, I'm like, to me, it's a contender. Silence of the Lambs or Amadeus?
Silence of the Lambs.
6.
Silence of the Lambs is my favorite Best Picture winner of all time.
Yeah.
Also because it's like genre specific.
So, final thoughts. Are there any categories you think are missing from the Oscars? I think that we touched on that.
Yeah, I think ensemble is a real big miss here for just, movies are so about the collective, I think, too. So I would really like an ensemble category in there.
I'm being half serious, but I want a category for dumb comedies.
Dumb comedies.
Specifically
Okay.
stupid comedies. And I also...
I think they have that at the Razzies, babe.
Okay, but I want it at the Oscars.
Okay,
I
yeah,
want
fair.
some laughs. I
Yeah.
want some, we're not taking ourselves so seriously.
okay.
I also want stunt doubles still. I said
Yep.
this last year. To wrap up, recommend a movie you wish was nominated this year, but was not.
Okay. There's a huge one that was probably one of my favorite movies of the year, and it should have been nominated in 2 categories, and it wasn't. And that is Kneecap.
Yes, that's what I wrote.
Because I'm sorry, the Kneecap movie was one of the best movies of last year. It was the most fun. It won so many awards. It had best original music. And the reason why it wasn't nominated is because those guys stand there with their chest and say Free Palestine.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why they didn't get nominated. And that fucking sucks. Because it should have been.
Yeah, that was my exact answer is Kneecap. And those listening who haven't seen Kneecap need to see it. It's
so good.
And fun.
And like you don't even need to be
Inspiring.
into that kind of music to really appreciate it.
And the editing is fun.
It's a fun story. Those guys are not actors,
Yeah,
but
they're
they're literally them.
They're playing themselves.
I am such a Kneecap fan now from I went in
Exactly.
having never heard that music, never seen the trailer, knew nothing about it other than someone being like, go watch this movie, you'll have a great time. And actually, I saw it at the Los Feliz 3, and I remember there was no air conditioning that night. And it would have been, summer. And I was just sitting there sweating through Kneecap, just having the best time because it was like, some parts of it felt like doing good drugs.
It was so good. That's actually my third. I've mentioned my boyfriend now twice. This
Yeah.
is the third movie.
Mikhail's
that,
getting a real shout
Yeah.
out on this like Valentine's Day shot Oscar
I
X
like him
episode.
today. That is the third movie that he loved. Loved.
Well, he's got good taste then.
I mean, they all are really different. Dune,
Yeah.
Dune, Kneecap, and Inside Out
too. That's his letterbox top 3.
If he had a letterboxed. Real quick, some things that didn't get nominated at all. I just want to see if there's anything else. Wait, did Queer really not get any nominations?
No.
Okay, that's
Wild
crazy.
for Daniel Craig. Totally.
Okay, that's crazy. Megalopolis, hilarious.
Oh God, yeah, big, yeah, not surprised. But like with Queer too, like costume design as well, like production design, directing, like
Just seems like the kind of movie that should have been there.
I mean, I think that A24 dropped the ball on that. So.
Yeah. Well, I had a great time chatting with you and hearing all your insights to your predictions and what you want to win and your recommendations. I'm really looking forward to watching the animation, Memoir of a Snail.
You'll cry. You'll love it.
And I'm also looking forward to your documentary recommendation.
No Other Land. Yes. That's probably what I would suggest people go and watch ahead of the Oscars is go watch No Other Land, go and watch Kneecap, and go and have a cry to Memoir of a Snail if you feel so inclined. And just like rip that vape like that Pope in the like that cardinal did in Conclave and have a good time.
Amazing. Well, thank you again.
Thank you for having me back. I'll see you all next year.
Yeah, see you next year. Bye.
Good evening.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. To stay in touch, follow our Instagram page at It's Intermission Time and share with your friends. As always, Intermission is produced by Jazeel Chu and Olivia Dean, and of course, hosted by yours truly, Megan Braun. This episode is brought to you by The Synagogue.